Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Indigenous Insights. On the show with us this week, a member of the Modoc, Klamath, Paiute and Warm Springs tribes. He's a father, comedian, wild horse rodeo cowboy, powwow MC, and traditional fisherman. It's Gilbert Brown. Gilbert, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for being here. First of all, can you tell us where in the world you're zooming from?
I'm right now in Portland, Oregon. I work for the city here. On my off time, I've been with the city for 27 years, 3 weeks, and a few days. So it's going good.
That's a good run. So is that the area you grew up in?
Yeah. Well, work-wise, I grew up in Warm Springs, but I'm Klamath and Modoc and Paiute. None of those tribes got along.
No?
But for one night in the horse at the rodeo. And ta-da. Like, when my mom said she was a trick rider, I was like, wow, Mom, I don't need to know that. Anyway.
Yeah. So tell us, I mean, you're a comedian, and you already kind of talked a little bit about it, a trick rider, rodeos and stuff here. It says you're a wild horse rodeo cowboy. Can you tell us, well, first, what that is and how long you've been doing that?
Man, since just out of high school, it's called the Wild Horse Race, and you can look it up on YouTube. They just had a big one in Red Bluff, California. I'm retired now, and that's a young man's sport. You know, I've been at it. I lost my finger, a part of my finger. A stud horse bit my finger off. So now my Indian name was Shortbird, but I have a new one, and I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, studs pump a lot of testosterone, but I had a lot of Indian mojo in that finger, and he went blind. So.
Yes. So what are you actually doing during that job, and tell us a story.
It's a 3-man event. You got your mugger, your jockey, and your anchor, and the job is to get your horse stopped, put a saddle on him, and get him across the finish line. And it's a 2-minute limit, and yeah, it's crazy. You can't just watch one team because there's so much going on. They get them all in the bucking chutes and they turn them loose, and they got a 12-foot rope on them, and they come out, and you got to stop him, grab him by his head. That was my job. And then another guy puts the saddle on him, and then we set him up to go, which way we think he'll go to get across that finish line. But it doesn't always go that way. Sometimes he blows up, runs us over, usually for a landing pad, kicks another teammate. There's so much that can go wrong. I've done just about everything but mated with him. Yeah.
Man, so I mean, there's a couple rodeo events around here, but that's a little bit foreign to this area. So you're competing against other teams to do this.
Yeah. If there's more like 8 chutes, yeah, they fill the chutes. And so imagine 8 horses coming out, and you got to watch out for those horses. That's the anchor's job. He has to watch your teammates, and my job is to jump on the head and hold them still while my jockey puts the saddle on. So it's a crazy event. It's fun to watch. So if you ever seen this event, it'd be your favorite event. If you haven't, everybody says bull riding. But man, I'm telling you, you gotta be a couple cans short of a 6-pack to do this event.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely fascinated just hearing about it here. It says you're also an MC powwow, or you MC powwows. How did you land that gig? How long you been doing that?
Well, I've been at it a few years. I just do local shows mostly. I have MC'd down there in Colorado State and University, and but the biggest powwow I do here is Delta Park here in Portland. It's usually during Father's Day weekend, and I usually put on specials. My stepdad who just recently passed last year. We're getting ready to do his memorial. I want to honor him and my uncles because back in their day, they used to war dance, and they had a team dance. And there was 5 of them, and they used to win all the time. So in their honor, I'm gonna have a team dance all at once.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I've been at it, 12 years, I'd say, somewhere in there. Just I've always joked around with people. I've always, you know, coyote like tell stories and make people laugh, and I try to make them feel good. This is we're in a non-native community, so we get people from all over the world there. We get people from Africa. We've had Hawaiians there, and they danced, and the Aztecs, and all these things. They come to, but I try to make them feel welcome. And when I open the powwow, that's the first thing I say. I don't care what nationality you are outside this arena. Today, you're a native. And then I explain to them, as a native, we do this in a clean and sober way. And next thing, we're always laughing and joking, but we do have rules. When we say no pictures, don't take pictures. And ask before you want to touch or see anything, because not everything is open like that. So,
Yeah.
it's a ceremony. We ask that you come and have a good feeling in your heart, laugh with us, and be respectful. That's the number one thing. Be respectful, not only to our elders, but to each other, you know. And it works pretty good, And a lot of people come up, ask me questions, and if I don't know, I'll try and figure it out for them. But I'm not all, but almost just to the aunties, I just know a few of them.
Yeah. Very good. So now let's talk about your comedy. How'd you get into comedy?
I've been a jokester all my life. I've always raised kids, and uh,
Would you classify yourself as the class clown or a class clown?
yeah, probably. I missed class clown by 2 votes in where I went to school. Another kid got it. He'd been there 4 years. I had only been 2. But oh well. It's crazy. As a class clown, now he is like a city councilman in Madras, in
Oh wow.
Central Oregon, and So I hope to become president one day, just because be the
You
that
got
race.
my vote.
Yeah. But no, what happened was my sister had died, and I was feeling kind of down one day, and a good friend, she said, "Hey, let's go to this thing. They're doing open mic, or yeah." And so I said, "Okay." She went in there. We went in there, and she signed me up, and that was it. And it was funny because you get 3 minutes. It's the longest 3 minutes, right?
Yep.
And it was at Harvey's Comedy Club here in Portland. And I walked in there, and oh man, I mean, there was veterans there, guys that have been doing this for years, and they were just bombing with their new stuff. And Rowdy Piper was there.
Really?
Yeah, Rowdy Piper was there, and we kind of went back and forth. But I did a little joke. Uh, I talked about uh, Viagra was coming on then, and I said, "Yeah, that stuff really works." I says, uh, "I took it, and it got caught in my throat. As you can see, it really works. It's embarrassing. I'll cough, and my tongue gets hard, and it's embarrassing." And so, yeah, and so. the owner came up to me and he says, "Keep coming back, man. This is your free." He asked me. We were talking. He says, "Oh, Barry," he says, "Yeah, you did really good for a first time. You made people laugh." So I
So
just kept at it. And then Mark Yaffe of the Powwow Comedy Jam,
yeah.
and Jim Roll, and J.R. Redwater, and Von Eaglebear. Um, Mark was working there, and he asked me. He says, "Hey, I noticed that you're native, so do you want to come up?" And he took me to Seattle. He took me under his wing, and I got in with the guys, and the rest is history. So here I am.
That's
Worked
cool.
out.
So it did work out. I mean, before you went to that comedy club, uh, had you been in comedy clubs often before that? Had you ever thought about getting up on stage?
I've always wanted to. But I have, I always dreamt I could be rich and famous, but instead I became a dad, and uh, so I didn't really uh, go after it because I had to be responsible. And so now that my kids are grown, I can do more. They're older. I'm a grandpa now. I got to try, man. Kids
Yeah.
keep popping out. I'm like, where'd you come from? But you gotta love them, man. You love kids, and I love when they're small like that. They just want to come up, and they're affectionate, and they want the love and security, and I try to give them that. And but when they get older, I'm like, no, you ask your mom and dad now. They got the money. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a parent, it's a gift.
Yeah.
So who are some of your comedy role models coming up? And even today?
Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. In high school, I used to joke around and do uh, stuff with, I'd imitate Eddie Murphy. Remember Rock? And,
Yep.
when he came out and did his stuff, and I used to do Ed Norton, "Hey there, Raphael, buddy, old pal of mine," and that. And I did it all. Mr. T, "Hey, boy, look mighty cute in them jeans," and so, I did my thing. But yeah, life's good, jokes, everybody doesn't, I mean, there's times that I offend people, I do, um, I talk about Columbus, and now since the pandemic has happened and BLM and all them, you know, thank you for proving my cause. I said, I told you, 10 million Indians already here. You can't be wrong. He didn't discover shit. Excuse my language, but he did.
I can
Didn't
believe it. I
discover.
can believe it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't discover crap. So, uh, thanks for proving that wrong. Ripping down the statues now. It's good that they're printing honest text now. And not the truth is coming out about what happened. It
Oh
wasn't,
yeah.
oh, here you are. Let's join hands and sing Kumbaya. No, it wasn't like that.
Oh yeah.
Right
It was
now,
rough.
yeah. So, when people talk about Columbus Day,
And actually, some current events here. I guess we don't have to get too deep into this stuff, but do you have any opinion on, the riots taking place in your area there and stuff?
oh yeah. Um, Man, I feel like a half breed at Thanksgiving, man. I work for the city, and yet I'm like cheering them on. But it's like, why are you going after businesses, small businesses? They didn't do nothing. It's the police. You need to fight with the police, and only the police. And the feds, and whoever. But natives have always fought with the feds and the police, and with the women missing still, nobody's talking about that. The missing Indigenous women and murdered women we keep finding, but we can sure point out a black man that's been shot. It's
Yeah.
just like, man, we still, you know, I tell you, no respect at all.
Yeah. So this brings me to this question I want to ask you. They say laughter is medicine. As a comedian, what are your thoughts about that expression?
I believe in that wholeheartedly. And I told this story. I was on FNX, First Nations Television, and all my life, traditionally I go home for funerals, and my elders have always looked up to me, and they've always said that, hey, tell us a joke, tell me something funny. I mean, even in our worst times of sadness, there's still one, and you got to bring it. You got to bring them that humor. But
Yeah.
one time, and it kind of chokes me up, but I was sitting there watching a grandma who just lost her granddaughter, and she would not stop weeping, crying, and the medicine people are trying to work on her, and she sat there, and I just sat there. The last meal had been served, the last blankets had been given away, and the head cook, she's going around, and and I gotta tell you her name. Her name's Morella Sam, and she's gonna kill me if she ever sees this. But I love her dearly. Uh, she's one of the cooks. She was the head cook that time, and she's handing out the leftovers. Ziploc bags. Indian country knows Indians and Ziplocs is Walmart bags. So she's handing this out, and she comes around to me and she goes, "Hey, Gilbert, do you want some?" And I wasn't even thinking, and I'd said it all loud. I was like, "No, sick. You're a married woman."
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, you," and she took off running, all beet red. Well,
Yeah.
that grandma that was crying all of a sudden busted up. She's laughing. She turns to me and she goes, "Oh, you. I can't even be sad around you." And I got a mean look from the medicine people, but I felt it felt good to me that I broke that.
Yeah.
That's that. So yeah.
That's a great story. That's an awesome story. I really like that. So you have mentioned a little bit about pandemic coming in and changing things. And we've got, everybody's been affected. I've gotten a lot of different stories, but how has it been for you? How many shows were you doing before the pandemic? What's it been like now? And what's it like getting back to normal-ish?
Well, things are slowly opening up. Like, this is my first show that I'm getting paid for in June, but they're one of the first to open up. The East Coast, everybody's opening up, but West Coast, Oregon, Washington, they're still afraid, and so everything's still on lockdown. And now we're getting these strains, and I'm like, really? After all this crying around about the vaccine, and now we got different strains. It's like, I don't know. It's just, and the governor, she's talking about indefinitely wearing masks. It's like, I don't think so. It's like, why? Uh, you know, I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't know what to think anymore. It's like
So in your area,
small.
you don't really feel like your area is getting close to normal. It's still sort of in the midst of the lockdown, pretty much, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
due to these different strains they're coming around now from Africa, Bosnia, China, wherever. It's like, I don't know. There are all these different strains, and it's like, well, what good is the vaccine doing then if
Yeah.
if we have to worry about strain? It's just like, meanwhile, we hide like little chickens in hiding. We sit here at home, we sit and people are, it's springtime, and
Yeah.
we did this last year, and it's like, we did what you wanted, and now you're saying that's not good enough because we're still spreading. It's like, huh? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
just
crazy
weird.
time. It's a crazy
Yeah.
time. But you're looking
Yeah.
forward to that show though, coming up. Would you say June?
Yeah, June 5th.
Can you tell us a little bit about that show?
Oh, there's a bunch of Indians gonna be there. Jim Rule, the big Ojibwe outlaw Johnny R. There's one more guy. I can't remember his name. It'll be a great show.
See if I'll pull that flyer up. I know I seen Jim, and that Jim was on his site. We had Jim Rule on the show not too long ago, and this is a question. This is a question I had asked him too. Well, it was one question, but he broke it down into two parts. So the two parts would be, what was your most fun show, and then what was your best show?
My best show was, I would say, at Red Lake, again with John and Jim and Shoshonia and another guy who was headlining, and we upstaged him. He was mad because, people were looking at their phones, and, you see that he didn't have their attention. But I knocked it out of the ballpark that night, and had a really good showing, and man, it was great.
If you could boil it down to one thing, what made that night different than others?
That's a sober reservation.
Okay.
And so it was all honest laughs. I made them laugh. When they're, when you drink, you tend to relax a little more. But I did a joke, my auntie joke, when dating aunties wasn't cool. I did this joke about auntie, and it got real quiet when that's when I knew that I had them, because they was laughing hard, and then all of a sudden they wanted the punchline, and they got the punchline, and that wasn't the punchline. Then my second punch came in for the KO, and they erupted. It was great.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. That was a great show. And then one of my funnest shows, I'd say, probably when we went down to the Grand Canyon. We got that. That was my all-time low. We actually flew down in the Grand Canyon to the tribe down there, and we did a show for them. And that was a blast because we got to fly in a helicopter. Except for I don't know if I have the scars to show Shoshonia, where she was gripping my arm as we descended. We had the fastest descent. They had me in there, so it was struggling.
By the way, I get the flyer here too. The Res Comedy Night, June 5th, Cedar Lakes Casino Hotel. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
It's John Roberts, Johnny R, Jim Rule, Gilbert Brown, and Rob Fairbanks, the Res reporter.
Rob, that's his name. Rob Fairbanks. Yeah. It's gonna be a great show, man. Tell your friends. Come on out, man. It's a free show. You can buy me all the diet soda you want.
I'd like to work it out. That'd be awesome. I'd like to be there. For the listeners out there and viewers, can you tell us a little bit about the others that are going to be there? Johnny R, Jim Rule, and Rob Fairbanks.
Rob, I haven't worked with him, but I've worked with John, and he's pretty funny. And that guy, he's got some thinkers. That's what I like about his humor. You got to think about it for a second, and then And Jim, what can you say about Jim, that damn nerd? I love that guy. He's really funny, man. He's got his he's another thinker, you know.
Yeah.
Me, I'm just right in your face kind of. You either love me or you
When did you first meet Jim?
don't. Powwow Comedy Jam up in Seattle.
Okay.
My first show. I got to work with him. I got to work with Elaine Miles. She did a set there, and she was doing comedy.
Very
Man, I feel bad for her, man. She's still having her issues with because she got the COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's been I think a month or two, and she's still fighting it. And man, it's no joke. Yeah, you know, I have that issue already because I'm pretty wide in the chest, and I get bronchitis pretty easy.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, man, that's what scares me. You know,
Yeah. That's what it's.
wind.
Yeah, I mean, people are physically being affected, but then, like you mentioned before, we get all this different conflicting news sometimes. It's just such a crazy time.
Yeah, right.
So I want to ask, you know, you're in comedy, and it seems like a lot of comedians really would like to make a jump to being on screen at some point. Is that an aspiration of yours as well? Getting like TV or film or anything?
Being an actor.
Yeah.
Um, Not at this time. You
No.
gotta memorize too much.
Yeah.
You gotta be on time. You know, it's hard enough now. No, you know, it's great. You know, Tatanka Means is out there. He's doing shows. Elaine, I knew Elaine from Northern Exposure days. Those turquoise road. I was working in a Western store, and I sold her those boots. So pretty proud of myself for that because they stole them. They took them from her, and it's nostalgia now. So one day, and I go to the Northern Exposure Museum, and you see those boots. I'm gonna say, I sold those to you. I sold
Yeah.
those. To you. And who else is in the, you know, Gary Farmer. I worked with him a little, and I'd like to meet Graham Greene. Um,
Yeah, he
I
seems
met,
awesome.
I'm bad with names, man. I'm telling you, as you can see. I met Wind in his hair.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
we were down there in San Diego.
I'm not afraid of you, that guy.
Yeah, he's tall. Holy smokes! I didn't know he was that tall. But he's pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't met a bad Indian yet. You know, I've met Mogwai from the little short Indian. Uh, just got the award for lifetime achievement. Um, but I just met him before and see, I met him at the Herd Museum. We were down there doing the art show. I was there with my cousins, Jim and Jan Jackson. They're artists from Klamath. And we were at a house party. You know, just a few of us artists got together. And they said, well, here you go. Have at it. Tell us some jokes. You know, and that was, dang, that was a long time ago, 20 years ago at least. But, you know, it's like longer than that. Holy smokes. But
That time goes quick.
yeah, it does. It does. We went down there and I told them jokes and it was there and crazy, crazy world.
Yeah.
Meeting people.
So I did reach the end of my question list here. So I guess the last thing we would do here is if, before we sign off, do you have any last words for the listeners or viewers out there?
Support Native comedy. You know, I think it's a little harder for us to get into these casinos and whatnot, but come out and support and buy the merchandise. I sell merchandise. I sell T-shirts. I can't. now I have to come up with new ideas now that the pandemic's gone because, things have happened. The Washington Redskins are no more, and I'm not offended by like the Cleveland Indians or the Atlanta Braves. I just tell them get the right mascots. If you're gonna say Indians, you need to put Gandhi on there.
Yeah.
Real Indians, and
Do you have any ideas for the new name for the Washington football team? I see they're taking a poll now.
rednecks.
There you go.
That's what I sold T-shirts that said that, the Washington Rednecks,
Yeah.
and then on the back I put "We honor you." So
And he carried that name for at least 100 years.
yeah, right. Washington Rednecks, and they're proud. They're so proud of being a redneck. So why not call it that? Being called a redneck. And then the name of Jim and I's group in Shoshone, it's called Another Indian Uprising.
Yes.
Yeah, so I sell underwear. I sell thongs that says for the ladies, of course, and happy Indians, I guess. But anyway, I sell thongs that say "I heart another Indian uprising." That's my pickup line. I tell girls, "Oh my gosh, you just caused an Indian uprising. Don't worry about it. It's just by four skins." But hey.
Yeah, we actually had Jim and Shoshone on the show years ago. They came up here, and you weren't up here for that show. But yeah, I think I've played content of yours on the show because they gave me a CD at that time. So yeah,
No.
What have you guys been up to as that group? Another Indian Uprising, guys?
Well, we've been shut down, so I hope everybody is getting out now. We're opening up, and I'm trying to hit some open mics. So yeah, I got some new stuff I got to work out, So yeah, but relatively, I'm still a newer comic. I haven't been out there pushing. I just do gigs that I can when I can. So I'm like a part-time comic.
Yeah.
I'm not into wholeheartedly. So once I retire, watch out, world, because then I can go full force.
So when was that first show? How long have you been in comedy?
Oh wow! I think this is year 12.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said that 12 years. It's been a bit then.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm about a 6-year veteran, if we wanted to count full time. But due to my injury on my back, I'm hoping to get back to full time here and make do until I can retire. I'm 2 years, 7 months, and a few days, and then I can retire.
There you go, Miss Watch Out World.
Yep. Yeah. Watch
cool.
out. And then when is it? You go from aunties to nieces? I don't know. I can't keep up with either of them right now. So.
I think they decide that probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and you're injured. Oh, yeah. I want to be like Ron Jeremy. He did comedy. I worked with him on a comedy set.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, he did a show here in Portland, and I met him. He's got my shirt, Washington Rednecks. And when I tell people about that, they're like, "He's gross." It's like, man, that guy's a legend. He's still got young girls wanting to sit on his lap. I was like, yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But no, he was actually pretty funny. So I don't have no bad words for him. He's a good guy, just making a living like the rest of us.
Yeah, he is legendary. I mean, he's known around the world.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Well, yeah, I could handle being known for that. Yeah, you see my latest video?
Yeah. All
Another
right, man.
ending up, another ending uprising, volume 8. No, no.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for zooming in. I think that's pretty good. We could probably let you go, and
All
we
right.
look forward to talking to you again. Anytime you want to hop in, if there's something you even want to talk about, you're welcome back anytime.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having me, and we'll talk again soon.